Good morning, good morning, good morning. And hopefully I'm live, hopefully I'll stay live. If I go anywhere, I will be back. Welcome to this week's Monday Motivation. And this week's Monday Motivation, because we didn't have one last week, it was a bank holiday weekend here in the UK, or a holiday weekend. I know that in America it's been Labour weekend, it's Labour Day. So anyway, if you are needing some motivation for your Monday, your morning, or even your month, never mind your week, this might just be the ticket. So it's been an interesting week. Last week was a very busy week, as I'm sure it is with most of you too, especially for those of you who are running your businesses, who are navigating these more like business as unusual times. It was a very busy week. I was recording for an interview, which I'll let you know more about towards the end of this week. So I did some recording for that. I have been getting involved in lots of really juicy projects. And I wanted to really stream this week's Monday Motivation for those of you who have experienced any struggle, whether it's been in the last few months or whether it's been over the last week. If you've experienced any struggle in getting yourself motivated, maybe you've been worried, maybe it's led you to feeling anxious, or anything else like that, hopefully there'll be a few nuggets right here for you. And by the way, whilst I'm here live, for those of you who are joining me live, feel free to sit and watch, feel free to take notes in the background, but also feel free, like Ivona, to jump on and say, "Morning, Jenny," and more importantly, ask me any questions, if you want to while you're here. Your comments, your emojis, your likes and your shares, continue to make this a really fun thing to do at 7:30 in the UK morning, even as we kind of slide into autumn now, and the mornings are starting to get a bit more frostier and colder and darker, and that might just be one thing that has affected your motivation. So for those of you who are looking for a little bit of a kickstart to your week, I hope this is it. Thank you for those of you who watch on different time zones as well, especially when it's late in the night on Sunday and already well into your Monday on a Monday. So shouting out New Zealand, America, Australia, and the Europeans, who it's kind of their breakfast time by now. Anyway, so in order to have a look at what we can do to motivate ourselves this Monday, this morning, this week, and even this month, because we're still kind of at the beginning in the first week of September, what is it that's on your mind most? Now, you don't have to type here in the box if you don't want to. You can keep that sacred. But there'll be something that you are looking to kind of get motivated on and keep motivated on. And for some of you, you may be juggling 2 or 3 projects too. So whatever that was that flashed into your mind, maybe it's that you feel you need some mojo to keep doing something, maybe at work. A lot of the people I speak to, whether they're self-employed or employed professionals, find that there's something at work that they want to keep going. Maybe they want to keep their reputation intact. Maybe they want to keep building something that they're doing. Maybe they want to stay ahead of the game. Most often than not, they want to remain visible within that space. It could be the industry that you're in. You want to remain visible within that space, but you've got lots of other things to do. So I thought I would look at, unless anyone's got any questions or anyone's got any, if you've got something in your mind and you don't want to say what the thing is here publicly, I completely understand that. I want to start by asking you this question. What do you feel is a barrier that stops you from either getting motivated or keeping motivated? What do you think is a barrier that sometimes stops you or that you struggle with in getting motivated or keeping motivated? And if you would like to share what that thing is here, by all means do. Here's one of the things that's a sneaky little critter. It works with us, and sometimes, as I'm hearing from many of the people that I've been working with recently, sometimes it works against us. And one of those things is time. It's what I lovingly call too busy-itis, and this was something that I experienced myself And this goes way back to my corporate career when I was a senior manager in financial services, and I had the same hours in the day as everyone else. But it seemed that much of the time my hours were filled, whether it was responding to emails, whether it was getting involved in meetings, you know, the famous back-to-back meetings. And the reason that I bring this up, whether you're self-employed or whether you are an employee, is because for me personally, that pattern, that habit of filling my time, back-to-back meetings or having my time being filled, was something that I took into my business in 2010. And when you have your own business and you have to wear many hats, you need to juggle things, whether you've got help within that business or not. This can be something that I see, it's like a prevalent thing that leaks into not just people's businesses, but their everyday life. They find that the time they want to spend with their family is now spent with them not being present with the family. Maybe they're thinking of all the other things that they could be doing. It could be that the time that they want to spend in their relationships, in their personal relationships, they're slightly distracted because they're thinking of what they might have to do at work, you know. There's lots and lots of different things that come up for people. So I've only saying not enough rest. Yes, not enough rest. Hey, morning, Kim. Kim is in our future. Hey, Kim, good to see you on here. So okay, so let's talk about a couple of things that we can do, because feeling that anytime we feel that we're not having enough of something, when I dig deep with clients, and obviously I get more time than like kind of 15 minutes to do that on a Monday morning, when I dig deeper, there's normally something around boundaries. Now, don't make this a bad thing for yourself, or, you know, look at me, I've got it all sorted, or oh my gosh, I'm such a mess with it. And this is one of the first places that people tend to go to, and you don't need to. A boundary is a really nice way to describe, almost like less about protecting yourself. So it's less about protection, a boundary. If you think about a gate or a fence around a house, it just marks out where the edge of that gate is, you know, where the edge of something ends and the beginning of something starts, or where something starts and something ends. So when you think of boundaries like that, whether it's time, money, emotional, you know, energy, whether it's impact, anything else like that, that boundary just shows where something starts and where something finishes. And when somebody says to me, oh, but you know what, I don't have time, it's normally an indicator or a pointer to where their time edges are, where they start. And quite often we can blur it into one. You know that feeling when you're at work or you're doing some work and you say, oh, I'm just going to da-da-da. That has meant, it's almost like your fence, your edges, your boundaries, it's like you've just left the gate open and said, I know that I need to stop right here because then I go out into this meadow, but I'm just going to wander into the meadow for a few minutes, don't know how long, just going to see what happens. And that's how easy it is to lose a boundary. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me some pink love or a blue thumbs up. If it doesn't make sense, maybe give me the face. I can't get past a live, can I, without going. So for those of you that watch these back on YouTube, you'll be thinking, oh my gosh, what does that mean? So if you're used to watching Facebook Live, you'll know that there's a few different range of emojis. So cool, that does make sense. It makes sense. So when you metaphorically go into your day and your week, or when you go into your actual morning, your Monday, your day, your week, your month, your new month, and you've got that thing that you need to do, start to think about where you can put your fences. Now, you don't need to have an 8-foot fence that grows so tall that you can't see anything else. You can have a nice kind of fence that you can see over and see everything else that's going on. That's okay. That's okay. Just have a look at where you can put those fences so that you know where something ends and something starts, or you can know when something starts and something ends. So I'll give you an example. For any of you that have been kind of following anything that I do, you'll know that the London Marathon was postponed in April, and then they weren't sure whether it was going to go ahead or not. So what did I do? I kind of deallocated. Well, I didn't kind of do anything. I did deallocate the full time that I would have had the event had gone ahead in April. So I started to take chunks of time out of my diary that would have been dedicated to training for a marathon. I have not run a marathon before, so I need to make sure that I don't only have the time to go out and train, that I'm also able to be in the right headspace to do that. It also means that there's things that I need to learn. I need to learn how to eat while I'm running. I need to know how to fuel myself. I need to know how to eat and fuel myself before a run, before a longer run, what kind of things to eat, in the weeks up to it. I need to think about my breathing. I need to think about practicalities. And now that they've changed it to a virtual marathon, which means that I have 23 hours and 59 seconds to run 26.2 miles. Now that I know that I need to do that, and I can do that anywhere, and anybody running the marathon can now do it anywhere in the world. We won't have all the hordes of supporters shouting and cheering us on in the streets. It means that I've needed to change how I'm doing this, how I'm training. Hey, Eunice, morning. Happy Monday, Eunice. So it means I need to change how I'm training for the marathon. It means that I need to work out my motivation, I need to work out my eating, I need to work out my exercise plan, I need to work out my training plan. I also need to work out how and where I'm going to run, where I'm going to stop, for, to go to the loo and pick up, water, because I can't carry it around with me all day. I need to work out those different dynamics. And in order to do that, I need to put fences up. I need to say, okay, stop watching this thing and use that time to train for the marathon, use that time to apply. And in fact, what I have done is I've signed up for a program to help with these final few weeks of doing that. So where my fence is on this, I've allocated time so that I can learn the things that I need to learn the stuff that I don't even know to ask. And that's one of the other things that we can bump up against. We think we have to have it all planned out in our head to a certain degree first before we go and get the help. It's a bit like I was saying to someone recently, it's a bit like when you hire a cleaner to clean at home and you clean up for the cleaner. Well, you don't need to do that. It makes you feel better, but you don't actually need to do that. So with my marathon piece, I have now put fences so that I can allocate my time, and that's meant how I do things at work. That's meant how how many kind of like spots I have to work with people, but it's also meant that I've put myself out there in a very different way. Those are all parts of my fences. Does that make sense so far? So good? Does it make sense? Does it raise any questions? Does it cause you to think, actually, and whatever that thing is, do type it in the box below. I would love to hear. So, fences aren't walls. They're not to keep people out, emotions out, things out. They're fences just to be able to help you to see where your edges are, where something starts and something stops, or something stops and something starts. And you can apply this to motivate yourself throughout this Monday, throughout this morning, throughout this week, throughout this month. And you can apply that to time. You can apply that to rest. You can apply that to relationships. You can apply that to business building if you have a business that you're putting out there and getting more visible. You can apply it to so many different things. So in the example that was given here, let's make this tangible, because this is something I come across from a lot of people. Rest, getting enough rest usually points to not getting enough sleep, usually points to not going to bed at a certain time. And for those of you that have ever had children or looked after children, you'll know that if you have a newborn baby and you say to the baby, you sleep when you want and wake up when you want, do whatever you want, eat when you want, they've got no rhythm. So if you think about those boundaries as a rhythm, find your own rhythm. Some people's rhythm is that they do well by going to bed at midnight and then well at getting up at say 10 o'clock in the morning. Other people's is that they need to be in bed by a certain time. And the strange thing for me is, as I've grown through my years, I used to be a night owl. I could do my best work at 10 o'clock at night, finish at 4 o'clock in the morning, have like a few hours sleep. Didn't really need much more than 6 hours sleep, so be up again at 10 and firing on all cylinders. But that's changed for me over the years. So notice if your body has changed, if your preferences of how you do things has changed. And once you start to make those adaptations and adaptations, you'll find that it'll start to motivate not only your Monday, not only your mornings, it will be any day that you need it, because you would have already put up your fences for the things that you want to do moving forward, and it will make things feel a lot more easier, maybe like you're more in the zone, and maybe you're more like in flow. It'll give you the ability to know that that's when this thing stops, this activity stops, and this one starts. So hopefully helpful. Now, a good way to make this kind of last and make an actual difference in the way that you are motivating or self-motivating as you go through is just to think about this. Ask yourself this question: what's one of the things that I could use reviewing right now? What's one of the things that I could review right now? Is it relationships? Is it sleep? Is it your work hours? Is it how much time you spend doing something? How much time you spend not doing something? Could be any of those things. And if you find yourself saying it's this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, make a list of those things, but then have a look at which one, if you could change right now, would have the biggest effect moving forward. Sometimes we think, oh, it's our to-do list, or maybe today I need to not work so long, or I need to eat less or eat more. You might need to rest more, but having a look and seeing it on paper, seeing the things that you feel are getting in the way, and then being able to circle something. Morning, Faye, and being able to circle the thing. It could be the smallest thing that's going to make the biggest difference, but the thing that will make the biggest difference to you. So once you've identified that thing, step one, identify the thing that it is, no matter how random it seems. Have a look at that, and then do a kind of a self-review of what stops you and how you would like it to be. Just doing that alone. And if you are short on time, put yourself like 3 minutes on a timer, 5 minutes on a timer. Don't do anything else. Don't go and make a cup of coffee. Don't be cleaning up while you're doing it. Just sit and give yourself that time. Be present, have a look, and you'll be really surprised at how motivational this is for you. And have it somewhere where you can go back and revisit it, so that any other time later on in the day or the week, when you get that, oh gosh, I've got so much to do, maybe feeling overwhelmed, so much stuff to get through, that you can then go back, review it, and see what your next action is. So, just reading some of your comments there. So yes, do a review of one thing. Don't try and do it on everything, because it becomes a mammoth task. Just do the one thing, the main thing that really would make a big difference. Getting exhausted around 9:30 takes a couple of hours to settle. Okay, so something for that is, what can you do to help that process? Because if you're starting to feel tired around a certain amount of time, and I completely get this, some of you will notice how I now don't kind of answer many things on social media after a certain time. My fences for my business element of this is between Monday to Friday, 9 to 6. Yes, you might get a response from me at the weekend, and yes, you might get a response from me after that, but my fence is at that time. And the reason that I explain that in answer to being exhausted is I know that by around 9:30, I too am starting to feel tired. So I let that be my fence. It's like I walk up to my fence. I don't open up any gates. I say, this is a time for me to go to bed. And that's it. And what I'll often do is take myself off to bed. If I'm feeling tired but not quite sleepy, then the exhaustion sounds to me like it could be a place where you need to rest, like rest your mind, rest your eyes, rest your body, or something else. The other thing, you might incorporate something, and this is not just for you, Ivona, this is a common thing. and it sounds trite to say, it could be that you go and relax in the bath. And one of the things that I loved to do was I literally loved to get in the bath in candlelight. So I would diminish the amount of light around me, because that's how nature goes. Unless you're working night shifts, as you go into the evening and it gets darker, and this is the thing that affects me the most, the difference between the winter and the summer, you know. In the summer, longer days, longer light, I'm firing on all cylinders. In the winter, by 4 o'clock, I just want to be like indoors, all cozy and warm. So, you know, have a look at what you can do as you start to have like a bedtime ritual. I used to experience this a lot when I used to kind of like go out and work and be working into the evening. I get it a lot when I speak, especially when I publicly speak out there in the world and do evening talks. I'm fired up and I'm buzzy, and it takes me a long time to calm down. That's not when I'm starting to feel tired at 9:30. I'm kind of full and alert. So look at ways in which you can calm yourself and bring yourself to wherever you need to be in order to get great sleep. Faye's saying, I need to declutter my wardrobes. As there's so many things, I don't know what to wear anymore. But I hate shopping for new stuff. So I get stressed. So that's an interesting one. Sorry to hear that you get stressed, because that shouldn't be how that feels. So it's a bit Marie Kondo. I'm trying to think. If you have Netflix, it might be worth watching just one episode of that to see what she talks about. But yes, I know that feeling. Because of lockdown, I had to wait an extra 3 months to get some of my furniture in and have things in a place that I wouldn't normally put them in, just to kind of store stuff. So that feeling when you open something and you're overwhelmed by all of these things doesn't feel great. So there will be things in there that help. And one of the tips that I'll share from something from her methodology is that you take everything out. Wherever that space is that's overwhelming, you know, the wardrobe, the drawer, maybe do it one drawer at a time, take everything out. Don't just take out certain bits, take everything out so you can look at it. And there'll be things that you look at that bring you happiness and joy. There'll be things that you look at that maybe don't bring you so much happiness and joy. And start with getting rid of those things. And it's interesting because a few years ago, I remember talking to some of you about decluttering spaces and things like that. And maybe it was one drawer at a time. Maybe it was a cupboard. And that feeling, especially with clothing, and I'm not a clothing expert, but that feeling with clothing where I noticed that when I decluttered the drawers like that, there were certain items of clothing that I really loved. I was like, yeah, I really like this. I'd put it on and then I'd take it off again. And I realised there were a couple of items that I'd been doing that for a few years. And with those, they were good pieces of clothing in good condition. I ended up putting them in a bag. Every time I recognised there was something that I take out, put on but never really wear, put it in a bag, gave it to the charity shop. And it's like the release of energy. It's almost like a mini anxiety that you feel when you're like, oh, I really want to wear this. Oh, no, I don't. It doesn't look great. It's too short, too long, too this, too that, you know. So give that a go. Give that a go. So thank you so much for all of the different bits and pieces that you are sharing down here with each other as well. I love that. For those of you that are watching on the replay, take a look, add in your own thoughts and comments and things that you'll do. If you want somewhere a little bit more private to be able to have this conversation and continue the conversation, then go on over into the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group and continue in there. You can type it, you can video it, you can Facebook Live it, but you can share it. So I look forward to seeing some of the other things that you do. I love that Faye's recommended turning off electronics an hour before you want to sleep, which is why I don't go on to social media and stuff. That point of fatigue, it's a really good point you raised, Faye. That point of fatigue definitely contributes to how we feel kind of moving forward. If we've been on social media, if we've got TVs in bedrooms is another one. Get rid of anything like that. Get rid of that blue light. Don't even have your phone in your bedroom if that, you know, leave it outside your door if you need to. So hopefully some of these tips are helpful from me and from others. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time out to watch this. I'm going to honour your time And I would encourage you, do the 3-minute or 5-minute exercise straight away so that you can do it while you're in this kind of motion. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to hearing about your mornings, your Mondays, your weeks, and what you get done. Bye for now.